Pasadena. Our community is observing the Safer at Home order as issued by the City of Pasadena in accordance with Governor Newsom's recent state executive order. These are unprecedented times where we need to come together like never before, even when being physically separated. The Arroyo Channel, a public service of Pasadena Media, is your local community station. We are continuing to provide services to instruct the community in media and give people the tools to broadcast their unique voice. We are calling on you, the community, to use the tools available to you, like your smartphone camera or your web camera, to document your feelings and experiences during this time. We want your Safer at Home story, and we want to share it through your community platform, the Arroyo Channel. Submit a video message to us and we may broadcast it on the Arroyo Channel and through social media. Reach out to us and we can even arrange an online interview. To send us your video or for more information, contact studio@pasadenamedia.org. That's studio@pasadenamedia.org. And until we see you in the studio again, remember Pasadena, stay safer at home. I'm here with Mr. Daniel Niswander, host, producer of the Nowman show, a man of many other skills. And what we're kicking off here is kind of a conversation, which here at Pasadena Media, we're still trying to outreach to the community and help where we can for producers to keep them producing and reaching their audience or reaching out to the audience they already have. And Dan here's the perfect guy to start these conversations with because he's been doing just that. I've seen him every day out on social media, talking to his audience. Today is the 26th, March 26th of 2020. We're in the thick of the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. And we, depending on who you talk to, who you listen to, we could just be at the beginning of this thing.
That's
so,
right.
Dan, what do you experience right now? What are your feelings today as of this moment?
Well, it's kind of a plethora of emotions because I can't say that I really don't like those words optimistic or pessimistic. You know, they don't really apply. But I think what does apply is realistic. And also hopeful. So, and some of the realistic stuff, it doesn't look good. And some of the hopeful stuff is I see some amazing things that I think are going to be already happening as time goes on. I mean, maybe I should start with the realistic part first. We could, in this country, the United States could be where Italy is very soon. So that creates a lot of anxiety for people, I think, because we're not prepared, and yet we're supposedly one of the most prepared in the world, most prepared countries in the world, but we still really have a shortage of things that should be common sense, you know, like ventilators and what do you call it, those things you wear over your face. There's still some people working. I'm one of them. I sit at my desk talking to people all around the country. All day long and with gloves on and one of these things on my face. And it's interesting how everybody asks each other, how are you? You know, you could tell it's genuinely from the heart and they really care and they engage in conversation and about it, you know, sometimes even, you know, it's 10 minutes before I finally even get into, oh yeah, we were here to discuss business, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Because people it's making a lot of people, I think, wake up, or just a lot of people aware of something maybe that they took for granted, you know. And so I think the hopeful side of it is that as more and more people have that kind of experience, it will transform their lives. And maybe a lot of people are long overdue for that kind of a wake-up call. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, you used the word realistic and kind of how you're looking at how it's playing out in other countries and the danger that could pose here and how bad it could potentially get. I'm thinking of the word deterministic because it's a time to be optimistic and deterministic to where we can affect other people, keep their spirits up, but also to kind of encourage the world in a positive direction things that we want to see. Without getting too political, I think there's ideas that are out there that we could all agree on that would benefit the everyday person. And rather than divide us further, I think I want to be an optimistic person and kind of push how I can to make things better when we come out of this pandemic. And I think what we're doing right now is one way to do that. Reach out to people in your life, reach out to anyone, even virtually online, call them, whatever you have to do to make sure that people's spirits stay up and that we're all in this together and we're pushing towards a better world.
Oh, totally. And totally. I mean, I think, gosh, where do I even begin there? Because, there's so many different ways I feel blessed, and I feel an obligation actually to do that. Because right before all of this started, in the first part of March, at least for us here in Los Angeles, I was singing an original song in front of what totaled probably 5,000 people. I don't know. And in front of Simon and Howie, Heidi and Sophie of American Got Talent judges. And it was an exhilarating, amazing experience, really just phenomenal, potentially life-changing experience, right? It certainly was life-changing for me in that moment in time. And I have a manager now, and he said to me, well, Dan, you should, you're allowed to do social media, saying that you should create a blog and sing a song once a week. Pick a day, sing a song, announce, social media, you're going to do that at a certain time, and start doing that. And then start, building the audience you already have and increasing it, and so that when things do unfold, that you'll have more content for people to be aware of, and you'll already be growing your audience. And I thought about, for me, it's also a way for me to give back, to help create a vibe, as you were saying, like an optimistic vibe. Mm-hmm. But for me, I would use the word hopeful, because I can still share my serious concerns a little bit, but the focus really is on the music, and singing, and in my room here. I feel the cultural transition is just as important as anything that people would consider politically important, because we do need to feel like there's hope, right? Mm-hmm. And and even as when we grew up as kids, for instance, as musicians, there's certain things about certain people that inspired you, whether they were musicians or filmmakers or actors or writers, or people from history, that just inspire you tremendously. Why would you not want to share the joy and the learning of from those experiences? You know what I mean? It's nothing but uplifting. And what I always say to people is that you never know how you're touching another person's life, because that happened one time. That happened to me in a way I just like, what? Because I had some friends of mine had talked me into working out because they wanted someone to go with them boogie boarding, right? And I was not in shape. And I realized, that sounds really cool. I love the ocean. I'd love to actually kind of do more with that, right? And I could get in shape too. And my company's going to let me work out on my lunch break. Fantastic. And with one of my coworkers who were like friends. Perfect. So I'm so glad that I did that. And I got in shape, right? And I had a speech class at the time at LA Valley College. Our final speech was like, just whatever, so I thought, it had to be what would you call it? Is this expository where you're convincing somebody of something to, Mm-hmm. I said, convincing? I don't know. What would I convince somebody of? And so I said, I'll just talk about my workout experience. And I just talked about my workout experience. And one of my fellow students, he came up to me, that's what it was, on the final day class. And he said, that speech you did about working out? I said, yeah. That made me want to go work. I'm working out now. Thank you for doing that. And I'm like, really? I was just talking about my experience. Here's what I do, and this day and that day. And and then I did kind of, think of my diet and stuff like that, improving it. I had no idea that I impacted somebody. It made them think about something, and then they did it. So never, marginalize yourself, what you can do, and if you're a producer, this is what I suppose we're trying to focus on here. You can still keep producing content. You can still do blogs in your room here. Independent media of all kinds. You watch news programs. Everybody's on Skype or Zoom or I don't know if it's Google Hangout, but
yeah,
everybody's doing that.
Just say you got me thinking of self-reflection and kind of self-work. And you mentioned you're working. I'm working from home still, but a lot of people are working less. That's can be problematic. We could put that to the side and talk about that too, with unemployment and the hardships people are suffering. But at the same time, many of us have the luxury to now have some extra time for self-reflection. If we're spending a significant amount of more time at home and we have the peace of mind to do so, this can be a chance to kind of look inward and reevaluate our life and finally pursue that hobby, or really have some time to your hobby, like you said, music or whatever else. So I think that's one encouraging thing, is people might be looking at themselves a little more and have that reflective time.
I agree. I mean, it's like I'm finding like, there's certain things now I can probably get done faster. I was kind of putting off because, I was thinking about going out and, doing some kind of event or another, as an activist or a social event meetup or something to hang out with some people, go to a concert, and
reevaluating what's important in life too.
That's absolutely right. I mean, I know you've had a big development in your own personal life.
Oh yeah, weird timing. He's mentioning I had a baby recently. My wife had a baby, and I had a little something to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, you had a baby too.
Yeah, we had a child. Yeah, he's crying in the other room right now. I can hear him. But so you mentioned you're starting up a blog, maybe putting a song out every day. What social media platforms do you use to engage with people? I just kind of want to say, like, people have looked down their nose somewhat, especially people in media have looked down their nose at social media over the years. But imagine this had all happened 10, 20 years ago when we didn't have those platforms. We're learning now that there can be a positive connectivity in social media. So what platforms are you on, and how do you use them to engage?
Generally, I still, as much as I went through a period of time where I just didn't like it very much, Facebook. I still use Facebook. And I need to use Twitter more. I guess I still have a Twitter, and I do use it. I just probably need to start using it more now. And also Instagram. I'm using it more. And then I probably will create a TikTok account, because that's very popular, like with teenagers. Let me put it this way. I already know that the potential of my audience will include and does include teenagers. So I know. And TikTok is really big with teenagers. So that's essentially what I do. And I promote right now mostly episodes of the Nowman show, because I broadcast, of course, on the Arroyo channel, which is a television channel on cable. And then after it broadcasts on cable, then I premiere it on YouTube the following day, because it just kind of fits my schedule. And that's where you can set it up to where, you actually have a real, what they call premiere. It just suddenly comes online, even with a countdown at the end before it starts playing. And it's another way to kind of create a little excitement for something, that you want to promote. The blog, the first music blog premieres Friday night, 28th, 27th, tomorrow night. And I'm not doing it as a premiere, but I am it is gonna start streaming at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. So
and where will that be?
Tomorrow night, first one.
where online can people find that?
Oh, that would be a channel that I haven't used in a while because it's my music artist channel, which is really where I started on YouTube in 2006. And it's my last name, which is the artist name, Niswander. And that, by the way, is Nowman, which is the character, superhero of the present moment that inspired the TV show, The Nowman Show. So, and the thing about this blog is over time, I can give little bits of information while focusing mostly on the music because it's time. It's time. And I feel that we are long overdue for a new renaissance. And I've felt for a long, long time that somehow the universe, sorry, using that term, wants me to be a part of helping to create that. And it's very, very clear that there, in our leadership in this country, that there's not a lot of clarity about really what goes on in the day-to-day life of most people. It's how more can you prove it than it's to say, well, let's give everybody a check for $1,200 one time, or even to be radical thinking that, oh, do that every month.
Yeah.
That, when that doesn't even, begin to tap the surface for most people anywhere in the country, let alone bigger cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, or New York. So, this allows a platform to slip those things in. If you're a media producer, you can start realizing, hey, your audience out there might be interested in knowing how you feel about that. Because don't you want them to continue to be your audience? Don't you want people to continue to connect with you? And that's another way of showing compassion and caring, is that, hey, I think we need a Medicare for all single payer healthcare program. I think we need $2,000 in addition to unemployment for insurance if you're out of work. That kind of thing, or raises that go even beyond $15 an hour. And if that entails, talking about a certain candidate that is the only one talking about it, then bring that up. It's very, very important. It's also important to understand history, how we got to where we are. And, people are going to be in a different place in different ways in their life. I mean, not everybody's going to be ready for that. But that's why I always say, prepare yourself psychologically for what's coming down the pike, because there's going to be a lot of changes. I think most of those changes, though, are going to be for the better. What do you think about that?
I hope the changes will be for the better. And I think what people like you are doing will lend a lot to that. And it's good to see that you're not stopping because of this, and you're still connecting with your audience. Because I'm thinking about how are we going to keep people safe and engaged, because some people are better equipped to deal with isolation and loneliness, and others not so much so. So like you mentioned, the fact of the stimulus checks and this and that, people are in precarious financial situations, and just kicking a can a week, 2 weeks, a month down the road isn't necessarily going to be the best for them. But also people's mental state is in a precarious situation. So one thing I've been trying to do is kind of run down the mental list in my head of people who've been in my life over the last months and years, and reaching out and making a phone call to someone I haven't talked to in years, or emailing someone I haven't talked to in a long time, and just to check in on them. Hey, how are you doing? How are you okay? Because I think that's a positive thing we can do, is kind of reignite our connections to people socially, and remember that we're all in this together. Like, do you have any stories over the last week of reconnecting with someone you haven't talked to in a long time?
Yes. If you notice, I've been smiling. It's like, that has been at the forefront of my mind too. Big time. I mean, big time. I've been thinking a lot, even just today, honestly, I'm not making that up, about who have I not talked to in a while. There's all kinds of really wonderful people I haven't talked to in a while. And I've already started doing that. I connected with somebody that I've did a lot of activist work with during the Occupy movement, and, kind of connecting with him. And of course it's been, what do you call that? Phone tag kind of
hmm
But just the fact that, I'm totally, you and I resonate a lot, and which is why I really enjoyed working with you in the studio. It's been nothing short of fantastic.
hmm I was going to ask you, do you have I've been cooking more at home. Do you have a simple recipe you could recommend to people?
Shopping at Trader Joe's. I don't know. Smoothie.
Smoothies, yeah.
I had a blender, and it stopped working.
Oh, bad timing.
Finally, I said, well, I guess it's time to get a new one. So I got a Ninja now. It's called Ninja.
Mm-hmm.
And I can use it to chop up stuff, or I can create smoothies with it. So,
Great.
And I've been a fan of smoothies for a long time, like only long. Okay. But this one here has, let's see, pineapple, banana, mango, blueberries, and chocolate protein.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
It's delicious. It's absolutely delicious, and it's hardly any effort. Hardly any work. And it's healthy, and it's so it can be a snack or a meal, however you want to look at it. That would be my recommendation for preparing something. As far as a cook, I mean, I'm kind of lazy. It's too much work. I mean, it's enough to bake and or make a turkey burger on the stove, or you know what I mean. That's enough work for me to have it already prepared, and then I'll just kind of cook it.
Yeah.
It's a bit easier. Do you cook? Or
I have an Instant Pot, and so lately I've been making a couple soups a week, or making a big pot of beans every week. And that you can stretch a pot of beans into a lot of different kinds of meals. So I just get a pinto beans, soak them for a day, then I throw them in the Instant Pot, season them, cook them for about 12 hours. And to me, that's a great protein that you can incorporate into different meals, and it works for me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's not the magical fruit, is it?
No. I would leave the room to answer that question.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But I want to ask a fun question before I let you go, because again, people are spending a lot of time at home now, and Netflix, that's great, but I like to look for, cheap, free resources, and I'm a library person. And I love the library, and some libraries like in Pasadena are doing curbside pickups. You can reserve something and they'll let you pick it up at the curb. So I want to recommend that to people. Wow. They'll probably still be doing that for a while. But the recommendation I want to make is Canopy and Hoopla, which for most library systems like LA and Pasadena, I think with your card you can sign up for either Canopy or Hoopla, and it's almost like Netflix. Look at digital assets. So I've been watching movies and reading on Hoopla, and watching movies on Canopy. The movie I would recommend to you is The Brand New Testament, which is a film from Belgium, I believe. The Brand New Testament.
Brand New Testament.
Yeah, so do you have any entertainment recommendations for people at home?
As far as online, I might go back and revisit the 4th season of Mr. Robot, because I like that show. Mm-hmm. Especially the last episodes are so good. And I recommend it highly if people haven't seen that, especially seasons 1 and 4, but you need 2 and 3 to really make sense of it all. So you have to watch it all.
To bridge it.
Okay, so it might
cool.
require binge watching if you're into doing it. But I recommend that. But aside from that, I'm reading a Richard Wolff book, and I might get another one, his latest book. He's an economist from Manhattan, whose show I grandfather in. So he's got excellent.
Well, and while we're plugging things, I will say that the audience watching this should go back and watch your show, but also the economic update that you bicycle in with Richard Wolff you've mentioned, and also the Nowman show. So you can find both those shows on the Arroyo channel. Dan Niswander's The Nowman Show and Richard Wolff's economic update. So before I let you go, any words of wisdom or encouragement in this time that you want to offer the audience at home?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's important that we pay attention to the things that they're asking us to do, which is weird as they might seem, the social distancing and, and cover yourself, protect yourself, so that you're not breathing in anything because you don't know if you do have to go out in public. And most of us do at least have to go to the grocery store. Some of us may still have to go to work for a little bit longer. Make sure you're just protecting you're washing your hands all the time. I do just crazy. Probably wash my hands 12 times a day or something. I don't know. Make sure you do that and eat healthy. But also keep your mind active too, as we've been talking about, because that's really important, because you don't want to get depressed about everything. It's easy to do. And believe me, some of us have been there, and it's not a good time. So my encouragement to you would be do everything that you can to keep your spirits up, to be productive, to create joy in the world. And if you do need to talk to somebody, reach out. Do not hesitate for a second. Reach out to somebody if you feel like you really need to talk to someone, whether it's on the phone, whether it's in a live stream, and in some extreme cases, if face-to-face. But don't hesitate. Do not hesitate, because that's why we're here. My encouragement is reach out, look out after each other, care for one another. This is a transformative time, and I think that once we get through this, we're going to see some amazing things that we never thought we'd ever see before. Long overdue, also. And so just hang in there and do the right thing, and we'll get through this. But you know what? You won't be alone. We'll get through this.
Think of someone out there in the world that you should talk to today. Reach out to one person a day that you haven't talked to in a long time.
And stay connected. Keep in touch.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you. Likewise. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey everyone, just wanted to give you an update on what I've been up to during the quarantine. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another quarantine update.
Hi, this is Eric, and I'm here with your 60-second quick tip. This demonstration works for all models of Androids and iPhones. You capturing that perfect video, but later you discover that you picked up a lot of wind distortion. I'm going to show you a quick tip. Here's a quick tip on how to get rid of wind noise. Here's the only two items you need to get rid of wind noise: cotton ball and ordinary hair grease. Most cell phones have two microphones, one located at the top of the cell, one located at the bottom. But in this demonstration, we're going to be using the one at the bottom. Grab a little hair grease, put a little dab over the cotton ball. Now turn your phone upright, place it over the microphone hole. Voila! Instant wind filter. This is your quick tip for today.